tickets for a journey on a double-decker London bus.
This is the double-deckers, and that guy on the left is Brimsley Ford. He's most probably the first black child I saw on television. The double-deckers was really interesting. It was a TV programme about equality and diversity. Each of the kids was very different. Each of the kids was different but the same. They were all friends and they all played out and hung out on a double-decker bus. It was a great TV programme and very, very successful. Brimsley became a star. He was in Please Sir. Please Sir had a lot more black children in. It was one of those films that we watched and we called our mothers and said, "Look mum, there's a black child on the telly." It was a funny show as well, so all in all, things looked really rosy. Sir with Love sort of upped the game. Here you had the dashing Sidney Poitier teaching white kids in a white school in central London.
As the teacher who joins battle with the wildest set of rebels London ever produced.
Whatever's the matter?
Those kids are devils incarnate, huh? I've tried everything. Everything, but nothing I tried.
When I went to school, this became the cliche. This is Grange Hill.
The first pupil to walk through the gates on that opening show was Benny Green. Benny got away without wearing a uniform because his parents couldn't afford it. He was a footballing genius and he became one of the most popular characters in the history of the show.
Little bit stereotypical, eh? Steve McQueen, though, was a success. He'd gone to Goldsmiths and he was a product of all that great work we'd done in academia.
My castaway this week is the artist and director Steve McQueen. These days, his talents are well recognised. His art has won the Turner Prize, and his most recent movie, 12 Years a Slave, scooped an Academy Award, a BAFTA and a Golden Globe for Best Picture.
Everything was rosy till this guy turned up. He's Les Ebden. He's the head of something called OFFA. OFFA is the Office for Fair Access to Education. His job is to make sure that widening access and widening participation is done correctly at universities and colleges. This is what he said.
Specific groups face specific issues, and we've seen some of that as regards the locations from which students come from. If we'd have shown a slide about student success broken down by ethnicity, then we would have seen an even starker identification that BME students underperform compared to the expectation, particularly black students, and the HEA have done quite a lot of work on this.
The report's really interesting. It looks at students and where they go and how they perform. It looked at 5 cohorts of students and it looked at whether they achieved a degree, what kind of a degree did they get they get a degree and then get a job, and was that job a graduate job or not? In particular, it looked at characteristics like ethnicity, sex, disability, and of course, which area they came from. You know, they used in this report a thing called a sector-adjusted average. This basically means they managed to look at what the average for the whole sector was, and black students performed particularly badly. In fact, on every single methodology and every single outcome, black students performed the worst. Take a look at this diagram. It's pretty hideous. In particular, the nearly 15% lower chance of actually getting a job after a degree. Some of these stats really concern me, and I thought that's really what we need to investigate as part of this project. In particular, I said, why did it happen? Could it be that the data's wrong? Could it be that there's some external factors outside of the education system? Or is there something going on inside? I've worked in academia for 20 years. Most of my staff and friends, they're not overtly prejudiced against black students. Maybe it's something to do with unconscious bias.
We're vulnerable to unconscious bias in the world of education, just as in every other aspect of our lives. Economists at the University of Bristol found that teacher assessments of their black students marked them lower than external examiners' assessments, and this difference wasn't present in the assessment of their white students. What's important is it's unlikely that any of these research subjects wanted to be biased.
Conscious bias. You know, the hardwired bias that we all have. The thing that we perceive people that are like us, and we like people that are like us.
Psychologists would have us believe that unconscious bias drives our preferences, the people we associate with, the people we like to hang out with. And often those people are similar to us in looks, in age, in size, whatever it is. So those are unconscious biases, that we do those things without a conscious action on our part. The flip side of unconscious bias is that once you acknowledge it, it then makes that organization a great, diverse organization.
So, unconscious bias, that seems to be where it's at. Well, I want to have a look and see whether there's a different way of understanding it. Could personal experience shared on video reveal a richer picture? Tell us what's really happening and how we can address it? That's the nature of this piece of research. I want to look at the outcomes, I want to look at the benefits, and I want to look at the opportunities for how we can spread that throughout our organisation. Let me leave you with a few words from Steve McQueen, our black success story.
In the 86-year history of the Academy Awards, it was much commented upon that you were the first black director whose movie won Best Picture. Was that important to you, or was it just important to other people?
No, it's not important to me at all. There's nothing I don't think black people can't do, so that's of no consequence to me. I mean, so what, as Miles Davis says.
La, 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 la.